Welcome to Dr. M's Vodcast, a vodcast with a mission to connect continuous improvement professionals across the world.
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, Dr. M, for inviting me. You can hear me all okay?
Absolutely.
Um, I reflect back on those 32 years ago today, and my grandfather was very sick. He had just finished a seminar. He had completed a 4-day seminar at the age of 93, had flown home to Washington, D.C., and had fallen into a coma. And I remember I was sitting next to him when he did take his last breaths. And I remember, how I realized that his impact, what it ever was, because he was now gone. But I also realized at that time how important it was for people like those on this call and Bill and others to carry on that work, because I knew how important it was. Um, I'm still amazed, as I start to get older, that he continued to do this and had the energy and the drive to do this into his 90s. Quite extraordinary. And when I think about it, I'm here today in three unique capacities. One, as the longtime trustee and president of the Deming Institute. Personally, as a former CEO and entrepreneur, where I used my grandfather's philosophy to great success. That was the only reason my company survived, one, and then also thrived, two. And then third, as Balaji mentioned, as the grandson of W. Edwards Deming. And each of these roles has given me a distinct lens through which I've experienced firsthand how my grandfather's profound insights into, leadership, quality, systems thinking, continues to transform organizations today. I've seen how his teachings empower leaders, whether it's healthcare, technology, education, it doesn't matter, crosses all industries. I've seen the impact it's had on individuals who've come up to me when I've been at coffee shops and have told me the story about how they went through his workshops and training and seminars, and how not only did it help them in their companies, but it made a difference in their lives. And I remember one of my grandfather's favorite letters that he ever received from somebody was a woman who went through the seminars and wrote him a letter and said, the seminar was great for my company and my organization, but the greatest thing was it saved my marriage. And he thought that was one of the greatest things that he had seen. I've had people come up to me and tell me years later, after they've stopped the training, after they've left the company, after they've retired, how they've used it in their church, in their community, in their coaching of whether it's little league football or baseball or whatever it is. For me personally, I've experienced both the successes and failures that come from applying or neglecting his principles. And as his grandson, I've had that deeply personal view of how a humble man from Wyoming reshaped the way we think about management quality and continual improvement. Um, Today, and I appreciate what you, Balaji and Dr. M, are doing to, help carry on his legacy, and to not only honor it, but to explain. Today, I want to explain why I believe Deming now more than ever, and why we need it now more than ever, and why learning and applying his ideas are even more critical in today's rapidly changing world. And I think my grandfather would have realized that. And I desperately wish he was here. He's not. And we have this amazing and obligation and opportunity to carry on. I think these perspectives, of my grandfather all point to, a very crucial lesson. And that's the importance today of thinking differently. And I mean, shifting away from, and what one of the things he always talked about, managing individuals towards managing systems, embracing that continual learning and improvement over assigning blame. And, today we live in such a paradox. We have more capability than ever. And my grandfather talked about it, but not on the scale that we have today. We have more data, we have more technology, AI, connectivity, yet we're deploying it within fundamentally flawed management systems. It seems to me we measure everything, but we understand so little. We create dashboards that generate firefighting. We automate broken processes at scale. We use AI to optimize individual metrics while degrading entire systems. And my grandfather saw that decades ago. And the problems he addressed haven't disappeared. I believe they've scaled exponentially. When he, and I remember him telling me personally, when he warned, and I didn't understand it at first, against managing by visible figures alone, you know, and I thought, well, we have quarterly reports. Isn't that valuable? Well, now we have things like real-time dashboards, optimizing metrics that, destroy the very outcomes we seek. I remember when he taught that 94% of the problems and potential of the capability of the organization is the design of the system, not the individual. And so what do we do as individuals and people? And I know it broke my grandfather's heart that we responded with things like performance reviews, performance appraisals. And today I think he would be despondent that we respond to burnout and disengagement the same way 32 years later by trying to fix, motivate, or replace people. And he understood the consequences of poor systems and poor systems thinking, you know, and how those consequences affect challenges at civilization scale. Whether it's climate response, whether it's healthcare, AI, governance, what else? Education systems worldwide. And to me, these are some of the reasons why we need Deming and his philosophy now more than ever. I mean, he had answers and solutions that we've made and continue to make, and they continue to make an enormous impact today. When I was thinking about this, I love the fact that one of the people who worked most closely with my grandfather, Bill Scherkenbach, will be providing you with an amazing learning opportunity over the next 2 days, giving you that opportunity to think differently about the challenges we're facing today. As I mentioned earlier, as my grandfather emphasized, I remember him saying this: we need each and every one of you to prepare for the future, not for the past. And for me, the 32nd anniversary of his passing on December 20, 1993, is a time to reflect on his impact and the urgent need for these ideas now. I want to leave you, and I'm going to read from this. I want to leave you with the introduction my grandfather wrote for a book that Bill wrote. And I encourage you all to read The Deming Route to Quality and Productivity. So I'm going to leave you with that introduction. This is from my grandfather. Mr. Scherkenbach's invitation to me to write a foreword to his book gives me unusual satisfaction. First, this book will supplement and enhance my own works and my teaching. His masterful understanding of a system, of a process, of a stable system, and of an unstable system are obvious and effective in his work as well as in his teaching. Mr. Scherkenbach exposes in a masterful way the inadequacy of zero defects. It is no longer sufficient just to meet specifications, no longer sufficient to have the customer not complain. It is necessary for good business to have customers that boast about your product or service, stay with you, and bring in a friend for new business. I cannot refrain from feeling satisfaction that Mr. Scherkenbach took all of my courses at the Graduate School of Business Administration of New York University over a period of years, and I've had the pleasure to work with him and to learn from him in the Ford Motor Company. I appreciate you all giving me an opportunity to talk today. If there's anything else you would like to know or that I could share about my grandfather, please let me know, and I will do so. Otherwise, I'm going to turn this over to Balaji and Dr. M and Bill so they may carry on with what my grandfather would ask his audience before his seminars and workshops. Why are we here today? And the answer was to learn, have fun, and make a difference. And I know you will. And thank you for the time. And I'm honored to be here all with you. Thank you so much.